So the reason we want to talk with you is that a lot of curling federations now are facing this challenge, right? How do they run their national championships during a pandemic? And so we're curious, first of all, what happened with your championship?
We took all necessary measurements to avoid getting any infections. We decided that all players who were going to play, a total of 16 players, 8 women and 8 men, well, they should first of all have a negative COVID-19 test before the qualifier. That was something that we demanded, and they should send the results to the national coach. And they all did. Nothing to worry about at all. They were all negative and all was feeling fine. There were no problems, and none of the players' relatives, they didn't have symptoms of COVID-19 or anything. So we decided to go ahead, and we played the first round on Saturday, and the second round also Saturday. There was a pause of about 3 hours or so, and then we all went home happy. It has been a great day. One win for each team, so that was good. And then Sunday morning, we also everybody went in there, no problem. Everything seemed fine. But then after the third match, Sunday morning, one of the players received information that the player's family had been tested positive for the COVID-19. And while we were talking to find out if this player had been in the same room, could the player have been infected in any way, then one of the other players came to us and said, well, I took a test yesterday. I just got the result. I'm also positive for COVID-19. So that that made the decision quite simple. We had to shut down the event immediately in order to avoid a lot of players getting infected with the virus. And so we sent them home. First of all, this team with the 2 positive tested players, we sent them home. Said, go home, go into isolation, and then we'll find out what is going to happen then. And well, then I talked to the other teams. I explained to them, well, we have a positive case of COVID-19. We hoped this wouldn't happen, but it did. And well, that's how it is. That's the situation. So right now, we have to send you home, go home, take a test, go into isolation, take a new test in 4 days, and then again in 6 days. That's the Danish test strategy. I'm not sure that's the same all over the world, but at least in Denmark, you should take a test after 4 days and then after 6 days again. And we also decided to ask them to actually take a test right away, because then we could find out how many people, how many players could potentially be affected with this with the virus. So that's actually what happened, and then we started to look into what are we going to do now. We sent, of course, people home. A cleaning crew from the curling club went in there, cleaned everything, and we of course had to inform the board at the association. We had to inform the public. We were streaming all the matches, and we already did prepare for a match for streaming that Sunday. So a lot of people were actually sitting waiting for this stream. So we needed to come out and say we are not going to play because we have this test. And of course, we also needed to make sure that the Danish Sports Association, that they also were informed. There's a lot of talk in Denmark at the moment. All sports has been closed except for elite, which some politicians thinks is a very bad idea, that elite sports can still continue without spectators, though, but still. So we needed to coordinate with them in order to make sure that we didn't get all elite sports in Denmark closed.
Do you think anything could have been done differently to kind of avoid this happening, or just something that was just unavoidable, or do you think that there's something that could have been done to keep this from happening for your tournament?
Right. I think it's tough in Denmark to avoid it completely. I think if you can make a bubble environment for the players, it's possible to avoid. Like just now, Denmark had the European Championships in handball for ladies, and no cases at all at a huge event like that with a lot of players. So they did a great job, and they had the bubble environment. Everybody was living on their own floor in a hotel, and worked out well, I think. The problem is in curling, we're a lot closer. We have to take care of our jobs and stuff like that. So it's tough to avoid completely. I think maybe because the thing they did at the handball European Championships, they were tested every second day, I think, with the PCR, the best test out there at the moment, to make sure that there was no cases. That's including the volunteers and the organizing committee and the players. But then again, I think you have to look more at the symptoms and not so much as what the test result is giving you, because it is a fairly new test. So there is the chance of getting a false negative. So you have to be careful. I think it's like 20% chance on the best test out there at the moment to get a false negative.